Hey Hail Stalkers, thanks for joining us on this Wednesday afternoon. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox and we are tracking storms across the East Coast today, and we've got a few storms across Colorado and Wyoming this afternoon as well. Of course, the biggest storm that we're talking about today is, of course, Tropical Storm Bertha. This is moving into places like New Orleans and then across the southeastern portion of Texas, and we'll talk about the impacts here in just a few minutes. And we'll also talk about tropical storms in history, the costliest storms. We'll get meteorologist Martin Larimore up here to talk about that here in just a few minutes. Other than that, the rest of us, well, the extreme heat continues and it is hot out there. Oklahoma just recorded one of their hottest feels like temperatures, so heat index, over the last, well, since the mesonet has been in service, so in quite some time. 6th hottest that we have ever gotten here in Oklahoma. So it's hot right now. Everyone else, we've got a slight risk across the East Coast, a marginal risk for some, marginal risk for Houston, now thanks to those outer bands of Bertha. And then we've also got a marginal risk across Denver, well, just to the east of Denver, Colorado, portions of Wyoming, and portions of Washington. So let's go ahead and let's go over this. We've got a slight risk for some hail possible across Maine, and then we've got a tornado risk farther down to the south. Tomorrow, very, very quiet, but then our severe risks return on Friday, North Dakota and Minnesota for that severe risk on Friday. A little bit of everywhere. You know, yesterday was a very, very busy day across the Midwest and across our New England states. We had over 90 tornado warnings yesterday, over 300 severe thunderstorm warnings, and we had several reports of hail, but that really was not the big factor yesterday. The big hazard was that strong wind. Many reports of down power lines, down large trees in the roadway. We also had 10 reported tornadoes. Now today we've got a low hail risk, a little bit more impressive than yesterday, but it's still extremely isolated up in the far northern portion of the U.S. in Maine. Let's take a look at some of the risks on the board here. Caribou, Bangor, and Portland, Maine, all included in the severe weather risk for today. But your hail sizes are not going to be terribly impressive. I think maximum hail size maybe up to the size of a ping pong ball, but probably not even that large, probably closer to the size of a quarter or even smaller than that. Now, what about the tornado risk today? Again, going back up to Maine, Caribou and Portland included in that tornado risk. And then we're going to add to that as we go down into Virginia and North Carolina. So it's a level 1 tornado risk today, few tornadoes possible, few strong wind gusts are also possible from ongoing storms across this area. These are areas that got hit yesterday as well, so they could get hit once again today. Moving on to Colorado, Nebraska, just a sliver of Wyoming, and a small portion of Kansas just to the west of Colby. We've got some strong winds possible from some storms today, hail not looking very likely, and then some strong winds across portions of Washington, but mainly Oregon in that severe weather risk. Here's a look at your timeline. On and off showers and storms are likely to continue not only this afternoon, but also through the evening hours. That severe risk goes down as we head into the overnight hours, but the rain does not stop. We still have rain ongoing across North and South Carolina through the early morning hours tomorrow morning. Now moving on to our severe weather risk across the south. One thing that I want to note real quick is that we could have some of these outer bands that are moving late tonight and into early tomorrow morning across Houston and southeastern Texas, and that'll be definitely something to keep an eye on as we go over the next few days because we could get some rain in that area. But to talk more about that rain in Texas and the tropical storm that is churning out in the Gulf right now, I want to bring in meteorologist Martin Larimore. Martin, tell us more about tropical storms.
Yeah, and we're very focusing on tropical storms, so not hurricanes, anything below that 74-mile-an-hour limit, which does kind of put a cap on, the certain strength of storms. But these tropical storms, they have had a history in the past of also causing some pretty good amounts of cost for these storms. The biggest of all of them, Tropical Storm Allison, about 25 years ago, estimated losses $9 billion. I'll talk a little bit more about Allison in a little bit, but I do want to at least give you the top 5 because it's a bit of an interesting list. Tropical Storm Imelda, probably remember that, only 2019, estimated loss on that one was about half of Allison, $5 billion. Looks like I messed up on the graphic there. So let's advance that. But again, Tropical Storm Lee back in 2011, that was a busy year for storms in general. I mean, really, tornadoes. That was obviously a historic year. $2.8 billion there. Fred at 2021, not too long ago, at 1.3. And then the one that I really wasn't expecting, the last storm we just had. Wait, hold on. Did it just, 1 second. Let's see, I don't know why it did that. Come on.
Here, I got you.
Okay. Looks like my graphic was a little bit on the broken side before. But again, if you saw Tropical Storm Arthur, that was the one we just had a few weeks ago. It caused a pretty good amount of cost across parts of Louisiana and Texas, including some pretty historic rainfall across Louisiana. Actually, Arthur set the all-time state record for the most rain in 24 hours. It was Cottonport, Louisiana. 29 inches, or I think it was 26.09 inches is what it was. So a ton of rain fell in Louisiana and also Texas. So I do want to at least talk about Allison, noticing with these tropical storms, they're not as, I guess you could say, photogenic as hurricanes for any means. But the thing is that if you notice, flooding in Houston, and then what happened with Arthur, also flooding. Most of these tropical storms, because they do have kind of a inherent cap to their wind speeds, they're kind of limited on what kind of impacts they can cause, which is mostly, even for all tropical storms and hurricanes, it's flooding. So really flooding is the big thing for tropical storms. And when it came to Allison, Houston had some pretty devastating flooding. You can see this is Houston right here. They said, again, over $9 billion in total of those losses. Meanwhile, only just in Houston itself, Texas, over $5 billion. So a lot happened in Allison. And of course, Arthur, same thing as well. They had flooding across Texas. It was a very slow mover that was really moving through, and it did eventually get into Louisiana, where it again stalled, causing a lot of widespread flooding across the Gulf states. Now, the difference between what we got with those storms and Bertha's kind of lacking on the rain. At least over land. You can see there's where a lot of those clouds are. So we're seeing the rainfall, but it's not over land. It's over the water. So, you know, add water to water, not really anything. Here comes Big Bertha. That's been the name that we've called it here at HailTrace, actually. She's not all that big, or it's not all that big as of right now, but winds are still maintaining around 50 miles an hour. So it is maintaining strength a little bit better than we were forecasting yesterday. If you remember, we were saying that Bertha was probably going to be making landfall as a tropical depression over toward Houston, but now they have it at a tropical storm strength making its way over Houston. So again, we're expecting that landfall over Louisiana very soon, and then probably going to be staying right along the coast and probably getting toward Houston or Galveston by around your Thursday, maybe Friday if it ends up staying a little bit slower. But I do want to show you at least the reason why we're not seeing a lot of that rainfall right now. Just to the north of that center of rotation, this is about where that center of rotation is, where the eye wall would be if Bertha was a little bit stronger. Look at that water vapor. There's such a massive lacking of water vapor across the northern section of Bertha, so that's why we're not seeing a lot of that rainfall. So as it does make its way through, we're not looking at the possibility of widespread flooding, but with every tropical storm, you could see some isolated pockets of that banding that does go on. So while we are not expecting Bertha to bring in any widespread flooding, the chance is still there for a couple areas seeing some heavier rainfall. So we're going to go back to Taylor talking more about your forecast and what you can expect. Hopefully going to be escaping this heat sometime soon.
Yeah, Martin, unfortunately not escaping the heat for today or tomorrow or Friday or Saturday or Sunday. It's going to be hot for quite some time, and we'll take a look at the long-term effects here in just a few minutes. But all of that thanks to this high-pressure system that is currently parking itself across Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Texas, and Oklahoma, just right in this area. Now, this will pivot. It'll move to the north. It'll move to the east. It'll move to the south over the next few days. It'll help to steer where Bertha goes, right? Bertha wants to stay away from this high pressure system, so that's why it's keeping just a straight westerly track right now, moving right into the Houston area. This high pressure system will continue to take over through the next few days, keeping us hot as we head into the end of July. July 25th, July 26th, a beautiful, very, very stereotypical textbook ridge is setting up over the U.S. Now we've got a low pressure system out in the Pacific. We've got another one out in Canada. This is going to keep the northern portion of the U.S. very active as we head into the later portion of July. And the rest of us very dry and hot. So that's a look at what's going to happen over the next 2 to 3 weeks. That's going to be our pattern. Right now, we're seeing some storms across the East Coast that will continue through the afternoon, evening hours. A tornado and a wind threat for most, just a little bit of hail up in Maine. Other than that, we're watching for some strong winds across Colorado, Oregon, and Texas, especially with those outer bands of Bertha. Tomorrow we stay a lot quieter, but then we have more storms return on Friday. Again, all thanks to this high pressure system. Let's go ahead and let's take a look forward. What are we talking about in terms of our heat? I'm going to fast forward through some of these graphics here. There you go. Let's talk about heat. Now, in terms of your heat alerts today, we have a heat advisory highlighted there in orange for southern Oklahoma, central Texas, eastern Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Excessive heat warning as well, and it's not helping that we've got all of that moisture coming up from Bertha, right? We've got lots of moisture in this area, so not only will it feel hot, but it will also feel muggy, hot and humid, just sticky out there. Now that's going to continue as we head into the end of the work week. So we're talking about Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Temperatures, they try to cool down in some areas across the middle of the U.S., but here comes that heat by the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. We've got lots of reds across the board, indicating temperatures well above normal for this time of the year. And how hot are we talking? Okay, it's above normal, but what does that mean? Well, in Oklahoma, we've got 98, 101 in Dallas. 83 in Kansas City, so there's your cool down, but look at how warm it gets this weekend. If we go to Saturday afternoon, temperatures warming up easily into the 90s in Kansas City and Oklahoma City. 99 in Denver on Saturday afternoon, 98 in Rapid City, 106 in Billings, Montana. I heard a gasp from behind the camera here. So we've got temperatures just continuing to warm up, widespread 100s on Sunday. Drink water now, get in that habit, keep drinking water, stay hydrated as we head into the end of the month, because these temperatures that are well above average for this time of the year are not going away anytime soon. July 27th through the 31st, we are likely, very likely, to be above average in terms of temperatures. And what about your rainfall? Well, that may be a little bit lacking, okay? We've got tons of warm temperatures, but not enough rain, maybe not enough cloud cover either. Very dry conditions continue as we head into the end of this month, and we've got some wetter conditions along the coasts. And there's your forecast. Thanks for joining us today. Stay cool out there, drink tons of water today, and then of course, keep an eye on those storms if you're on the East Coast, Colorado, Oregon, or southern Texas. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. We'll post more weather updates over there. And give us a call at 855-334-4245 or email us at info@hailtrace.com. I know it's hot right now, but if you're getting out there knocking on doors, you want a map to show you where to go. We have those hail, wind, and tornado maps at hailtrace.com. Head over there for more information. Thanks for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and we'll see you back here, same time, same place for your forecast.